Hi guys, my name is Yvonne, and this is,
Jamie Maldonado.
and we are here to talk to you about film, everything film. This is Blank Frame Podcast, and today we are going to be talking about, introduce the topic for us, Jamie.
Elitism in film photography, and if film photographers are elitist and maybe very bad people.
And without further ado, let's jump right in.
The show is about nothing.
Blank frame.
So it has been an adventure scheduling this.
Yeah, today's been put off, I think, about 3 times due to work and illness and busyness and trappings of photography.
Oh yeah, I'm still fighting off the allergy section of the cold.
That's fun. I also got sick over the weekend. It was great. I was only sick for a day.
Oh, that's
which
good.
is like good timing, honestly. Like I don't mind.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, get a nice sick day, watch a bunch of Star Trek,
perfect.
and then get better.
Which Star Trek?
Next Generation and Enterprise.
Nice.
I had never watched any Next Generation, so it's been exciting
cool.
discovering it.
Oh, cool.
And I watched a lot of Enterprise when I was a child, so
Cool.
I was rediscovering it.
Nice.
Which I actually don't like it as much as Next Gen.
It's hard to compete with Next Generation though.
I've never seen Deep Space Nine, so that's gonna be my next.
Oh yeah.
Next time I get sick.
I think that's the underrated one. That's good to actually have something to look forward to when you're sick.
So, would you like to introduce today's topic?
Today's topic is are film photographers elitist and bad people? During the Oscars recently, as many of us film shooters know, Oppenheimer won for Best Cinematography, and it was famously shot on film. And the cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema said during his speech that he believes everyone should shoot film, or like especially aspiring filmmakers or any filmmaker should be using film. And so a lot of us were like, all right, go film. And then some people though were like, oh, only rich people can shoot film. He's an elitist. Film is for elitist. And then there was that also joined with like, I've heard people like talking about, I can relate to, but it's like I've heard photographers talking, or certain people talking about how like makeup people and wardrobe people and everything hate film photographers because they can't see the work. I
feel like that's a problem that a lot of digital photographers have too.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of the times I'll shoot with models and I'll be like, okay, I'll get you your photos in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like, oh my God, that's so fast. And I'm like, that doesn't actually seem that fast to me.
No.
Like 2 weeks is hundreds of hours that I could put towards editing this 1 hour long set.
Yeah.
But apparently other photographers will take up to like 3 months, sometimes 6 months to deliver a gallery. That to me seems outrageous. And those are digital photographers.
Yeah.
I suspect that a bit of that is because when you do a 3-hour shoot digitally, you're taking like 1,700 photos.
Yeah.
So then the time required to sort those photos and pick the best ones and edit 30 of them is going to take a lot longer than if you just took like 36 photos in that 3-hour period.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because it's like, yeah, you can send their photos instantly and they can look over your shoulders.
Actually, you mentioned a good point. I think that's a good reason to shoot film, because having models look over your shoulders, that's how I got COVID both times.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's also film is less deadly.
Can I see the photos?
So these people were saying that like makeup artists and wardrobe people and stuff like that don't like that they can't see the results instantly. It is the value of digital photography only the ability to get pictures faster and let people see it. So it's like, oh, this is what the makeup looks like, which I can see that would make things easier for people to understand what's going on. But also you could shoot like a digital test, like instead of like a Polaroid test.
Yeah, that's what I do when I'm shooting in studio is I'll have like the digital camera and the film camera on the same settings and then do a digital test and then take some film shots.
Yeah. And I think it's weird because is that more about an inexperienced photographer than film photographers all being bad or slow or uncooperative or unhelpful? Also, I think a lot of people would say that modern like fashion photography and modern celebrity photography has suffered badly for all the handlers who get their hands in it now. You don't have a lot of the same spontaneity. You have a lot more rehashing and copycatting. I mean, there's definitely positives, and I think every job probably has to be approached and like what's the best thing for this situation. But I think to dismiss film photographers as amateurs or as uncooperative or unhelpful to the other members of the set would be a mistake and a misunderstanding of those other people on set than just the photographer.
Yeah, I mean, good things come to those who wait, right? Like
Yeah.
Film may take longer. I mean, honestly, it depends on the person too.
Yeah.
Because for me, I always tell people that, like, okay, I'll get to the film shots in like a week, and then I'll get to the rest of the digitals in like 2 weeks, because I develop my film every week, right?
Yeah.
And I don't retouch my film. I just like edit the color and contrast and stuff. Because I mean, it's hard to digitally retouch film, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard, but it doesn't look the same.
Yeah. It bothers me how hyper, like, everyone wants authenticity, like no retouching, but they also want extremely manufactured situations, like where they can see every single thing that is being done as it's being shot. They can critique it as it comes up on a computer, and they can hide it, valuing such weird things in the creative process at times, or overvaluing, like, is photography all about being as fast as possible, or is as high resolution as possible, or is it something deeper than that? And it feels like it has been increasingly cheapened by faster technologies and the over reliance on them.
Yeah, and that thing that you say about high resolution is interesting too, because I feel like when people talk about film photography being elitist, a lot of the more expensive films are the ones that sort of approximate digital, like your Portra 400 that gets really, really close to being super high resolution.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, you're kind of losing sight. And like, I love Portra 400, whatever, but you're kind of losing sight of what makes film so much fun. And it's the analog quality, right? It's like the fact that you can see film grain, the fact that maybe every exposure is not going to come out perfectly, and the fact that you're only going to get 36 images from a roll. That's why we shoot film, right?
Yeah.
So I think, paying, $32 for a roll of something that's going to get you as close to digital as possible, I think, that seems elitist. But at that point, it's like you're just shooting film for the sake of shooting film, and not for the qualities that make film enjoyable.
Definitely.
You will be assimilated.
You still spend $5,000 on that digital camera at some point, and all those lenses, and they do go bad, or they do go out of, like, you have to keep up with the Joneses to a large degree. As much as people say, oh no, I still carry the D1X I got in 2004 with me, and it's doing just fine. It's like most people don't carry the 20D they got 20 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, like, if I'm being honest, I think digital photographers are probably spending like $3,000 to $5,000 every 3 or 4 years on a new camera, because the shutter goes, the pieces go, the technology gets upgraded. You suddenly have to switch to mirrorless, and everybody's telling you to switch to mirrorless, and jobs won't hire you if you don't have a mirrorless camera.
New lenses,
stuff like that.
Do you tether?
Yeah, new lenses. You drop your lens twice.
Yep. Does your computer tether? Do you have enough hard drive space? How many external hard drives do you have? Do you have a RAID array to back up all your files? And
external hard drives is a great choice. Yeah, or a great point, because I probably spend $150 on external hard drives every 6 months.
Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, that $32 portrait doesn't seem so bad, does it?
Yeah, exactly. And like also the storage space on Google Drive, because I store all my photos there, and each shoot, maybe there's 40 photos that I'm uploading from that shoot instead of like the 7 best ones.
Oh yeah.
And I'm spending like $12 a month on Google Drive storage.
And what about
there's a lot of hidden costs to just digital photography.
Yeah, that's right. It's just like, it's not cheaper, and I refuse to believe it's cheaper. Or as like I refuse to do. I can't think any further than maybe they actually cost the same thing, and get you in similar but different places. And a lot of the people are just upset that the film depression prices aren't around anymore, which they were a sign of bad things in the first place.
Yeah, I'm actually like getting kind of sick of people being like, "Oh yeah, a film used to be $6 a roll. I can't believe that it costs $25 a roll now." And I'm like, okay, listen, like $25 a roll is a lot, and I totally agree. But don't make me jealous, and don't remind me that it was $6 a roll like 10 years ago. I wasn't shooting film 10 years ago.
Yeah, and neither was anyone else. Yeah, no one else was shooting film 10 years ago, because that's why it was $6 a roll, because they couldn't give it away. And
and now, I mean, as the film community grows and we gain like power in the market, I think a lot of those prices are going to come down.
Oh yeah.
We see a lot of new film manufacturers offering a new product, but also respools cheaper alternatives of classic
Yep.
products that we love. And that kind of like market competition does drive prices down a bit, which is great.
Oh yeah.
I think like the Kodak Aerocolor thing, where like there's like 1,000 brands that sell Kodak Aerocolor, and some of them are as low as $11 a roll. Like,
yep.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
$11 a roll is very affordable.
Yeah, and Kodak's gonna have to the whole ELITIST thing is gonna come to a head at some point. They keep getting bailed out of financial trouble around every turn. The market will surely find a way to get around this current thing. And I don't think it's such a fad that it'll just burn out before we get to that point, because it's just like everyone's like, oh, vinyl records are a fad. And now we've been saying that for like 20 years almost.
I said that about books. Like,
yeah.
People
yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, the internet's going to destroy books. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure the internet's still selling books. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. No, people like an analog product. Like,
yeah.
That's just true. And film is just different than digital. It's a different product.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And I think a lot of it did come from, like you brought up something about, it made me, I can't remember the exact thing you said, but it made me think that we shoot film for different reasons now. And it's just really hard for old people to understand. And I guess corporations, like the things we look for in film are different now. And I've also mentioned, like, jokingly, kind of, that Portra needs to go away. They did the new versions of Portra 14 years ago, and it was already a 10-year-old film at that point.
Dang, classic.
Yeah, so Portra is like 20-something years old. I don't need wedding photographers from 2008 to tell me how to shoot color photos now.
Yeah, no, Portra's like, I feel like when people say film photographers are elitist, they're thinking of the kind of film photographer who like exclusively shoots Portra.
Yeah.
And then like, but like, okay, like maybe there are elitist film photographers, but there's so many elitist digital photographers too.
Oh, yeah.
And like when you start talking about gear and somebody's like, oh, what kind of camera you got? And then you tell them and they're like, you should get this, blah, 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 blah. You should upgrade to this. And you're like,
oh, yeah.
Shut up. Like, look, my photos are great. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a 24.
That's all I need. Just great photos.
A 24 f1 L3 instead of a 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I just upgraded to the L3. Oh, you don't have the L3. Oh, you should try the L3. Like, what does it mean? I don't know, man. Okay, you can do 128,000 ISO instead of 120,000 ISO. Great.
Yeah. Wow.
That was worth an extra $8,000.
Yeah, exactly. I just got so sick of that in digital. Like, I bought a digital Hasselblad back. I'm like, my world is peaked, a $10,000 investment. And I was shooting photos and they looked beautiful. It was the best color I've ever seen out of a digital camera. And I was shooting and everyone loved that. I would shoot the photo and then wind the camera and shoot another photo, and it's digital. But as soon as I got it, the fear set in. I'm like, when is this going to go under $7,000? When is it going to go under $5,000? When am I going to lose $7,000 or $8,000 on this back just by owning it?
That is a horrifying thought. The depletion of the asset.
Yeah, I sold it 2 years after I got it. I lost $3,000 technically, and I sold it for $7,000. It was a loss of $3,000, which I guess if I'm like in a studio making bank every day, if anyone even does that, sure. But I just I had reached that point where I'm like, I am so sick of getting a great digital camera and then it just being complete trash 3 years later and having to buy a new one.
That's like one thing that has bothered me is that I apply for a lot of photography jobs like through Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever, and a lot of them, like, they have requirements. You have to have like the latest gear, like you must have a mirrorless camera, or you must have 2 full frame bodies, or you must have, what was the other one, just stuff that I don't have. Like, I don't have 2 full frame bodies. I don't have a mirrorless camera. I probably should. I probably will at some point. But like the fact that that's then limiting my ability to make income because I don't have a spare $5,000 lying around.
What does a mirror? And what does a mirrorless camera give you over a good SLR? I mean, even live view. If the 5D Mark III had plenty good live view. I mean,
in this case, and at the risk of sounding uneducated, because I actually I'm not 100% sure, but in this case, it was for a live event photography gig, and I think they wanted mirrorless because something about it prevents. Oh, yep.
I'm so sorry. You can finish that point now.
No worries.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh, okay. Wait. Yeah. So it was a gig that was for like low light event photography, and I was going to need to be shooting with a silent shutter. And when you shoot with a silent shutter, With a DSLR, it causes banding, and with a mirrorless, it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't remember if that's the reason, but that's what I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And see, the thing is, like, that's also ultimately saying that our lighting technology is better than is more important than your work. I don't know. Maybe I have strong opinions.
And it's just like such a niche situation.
Yeah.
And not all of, like, it was just like in the off chance that you need to shoot with silent shutter for a low light event, that has a mix of LED and LED and halogen lighting, which I think is what causes banding.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
No,
like
I've seen
a very niche situation.
Yeah. It's just stuff like that. It's like, we want to light with really cheap stuff, and also it reminds me of the weddings. It's like, we want it to look like Pinterest, but also with the whole place is gonna be lit by a single candle, and no, you can't make the flame bigger. Yeah.
No, I've definitely had wedding gigs, or not wedding gigs, but event gigs that are like, like you show up and they're like, okay, we don't have any lighting, but here's our Pinterest board of all naturally lit venues.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
okay.
I found this little light bulb, and we'll put it on the wall, and that's not enough light for you.
Yeah, like the flash won't overpower the twinkle lights, will it? Like,
yeah.
Light overpower the twinkle lights, dude.
Oh man. Yeah, it's just there's so much freedom for people to be. There's more freedom than ever for people to be terrible clients, I think, and I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah. Well, that actually gets to one more thing that I wanted to mention about models looking over your shoulder, is that when I'm shooting digital, sometimes models will want to, like, oh, can I just record a little bit of the back of your camera as you like flip through the photos to like post to Instagram or whatever. And I used to be pretty okay with that, because, like, sure, why not? Yeah. Well, it turns out there's a really good reason why not. And it's because when you send the final gallery, the models will then message and be like, hey, what about this shot? And then send you a screenshot from the video that they took. And you're like, yeah, the final gallery doesn't have every single one of the 1,700 photos that I took over the course of the 3 hours. Like, sorry. And I'm not going to provide those photos.
No.
So now, like, when people ask, oh, can I see some of the photos? I'm usually extremely hesitant to even show them, because, like, I don't want them to remember that specific photo and then ask me for it later. Maybe it's underexposed, or maybe it's out of focus, or maybe it's just not as good as the other photos that I took and that I already sent them.
Yeah. And it goes
becoming a big pet peeve of mine, actually.
Oh, no, I understand.
Resistance is futile.
I guess to loop around, there's a tweet about the Oscar speech where somebody like blasted the cinematographer, and I think it was a woman cinematographer who did it, and so obviously a bunch of dude bros came in after her after that, and so I felt a little less compelled to cover this topic after the bros got involved and said whatever stupid stuff they said. But the original point is that only rich people can afford film, and it made me think about that was about cinema and stuff, but also they face a lot of the same things. Like, they do 500 takes because they can now, because there's no more. It's like, oh no, we're going to run out of film. You've done enough takes. It's like, no, I don't care. Just keep rolling. And a lot of people, I've heard a lot of older actors and different actors like express that they like that, how much more on it you have to be when you're shooting on film than when you can just shoot endlessly with digital. I think they face a lot of the same situation. And you want to talk about external hard drives, try doing cinema. Oh my God. Like,
oh yeah. No. Just the one music video that I shot that had like 72 gigabytes worth of video files. I was looking at my videographer, like, what did you do to me?
Yeah.
I don't know how to edit 72 gigabytes. Oh my God.
The computer you need to chew through that footage, especially 4K.
Oh my God, it took so long, Jamie. It took so long, Jamie. Yeah, it was 4K.
Yeah.
Why is it 4K? It was good music video. It turned out well.
Yeah, totally worth it. But it's
God,
like, it's like, tell me you don't have to be rich doing digital too. Because at the end of the day, I feel like maybe the answer is that we're all bad people instead of just film photographers. Like, we're all just like playing with strips of plastic and digital cameras while people starve in other parts of the world. But that's it.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? It's like, it's an industry that is very based on aesthetics, and like, there's lots of artistic value. Like, do not get me wrong. I'm not, but like, the actual like industry of photography and the industry of cinema, like they're extremely based on aesthetics. There's
Oh yeah.
like 1,000 problems with these industries, right? Like they're whether or not they're elitist, like the fundamental aspect of like taking a photo to make someone look beautiful and then enhancing it to make them look more beautiful so that they can show it off to all these people who want to then believe that they're beautiful. Like that is going to be elitist, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like at the base of it, like if you're approaching photography as an art form, like a way to express your creativity and express your art and like create some part of you external from you that other people can look at, like that that is not the elitist aspect of photography. But if you're approaching it to like, photograph a supermodel and get into a magazine, like whether you shoot it on digital or on film, there's going to be elitist aspects of that, right? Because the industry that surrounds it is itself elitist.
Oh, yeah. I think anyone who, I don't know, if somebody's an indie filmmaker and they're doing like their zombie project or their romantic comedy or whatever, and they want to, 99% sure they want to do studio movies or something on that level, and they want to make a living off of it, they would be in the elitist class too. Just like, unless you're shooting photos for, I don't know, like, I don't even know what would not be elitist photography. Like, because I mean, yeah, if you want to be in galleries, you want to talk about elitism. If you want to be in magazines, you're elitist. If you want to, if you want to sell your art in any common art space, you're going to be an elitist.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that really started to kind of irk me is becoming another pet peeve. And I'm going to sound like such a bitter person in this podcast, but there's this like genre of tweet or of thread of announcement from a photographer where they're like, I don't want to participate in the rat race of posting on Instagram. And I don't want to do all this social media stuff. I just want my art to be seen and acknowledged as my art because I'm a creative person. And I'm like, okay. I appreciate the sentiment for that. That gives me the impression that they're saying that everybody who does participate in those things wants to. And it's like, I don't post on Instagram every day because I want to, right? Like, I post on Instagram every day because I want my art to be seen, because I want to be able to make money off of my art, because I want to be an artist for a living. It's not that, like, I don't know. It's not just like for the social media credit. It's like, I'm playing the game because the game is there and it needs to be played. It's not because I invented the game and I'm now forcing everyone else to play it. Like, I don't like the game as much as the next person, but I feel like it is way more elitist than they mean it to come across.
Oh yeah.
When they're being like, oh yeah, like, I just don't want to do, I just say no. And it's like, okay, then your art, if your art is still being seen by people, then it's because you have a privilege, right? Like, if your art is being seen in galleries, it's because you have a privilege there. And it's not a privilege that everyone has. So the people who don't have it have to be on social media and have to be doing like the rat race kind of stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Don't act like you're above it just because you don't have to do it in order to be seen. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, it's like I'm so awash in wealth that I need to just throw it away because it's such a burden on me. It's like, oh wow, that would be nice to, all these possessions I own. Oh, what a chore.
Oh, to just rebuy your toilet plunger every time you need one. Like, that sounds great, but we can't all do that.
No, it's like, that would be great to have that money, but no.
It like rings as another kind of art world elite. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And maybe they're the kind of people who like don't need to make money off of their art, right?
Yeah.
Like they have money from other sources, and so they're just doing art as a hobby, and then they're looking down at the people who do need to make money off of their art. And it's like, just gets me, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Putting together some thoughts for real. You'll see my concise, much better worded thoughts in a 1 minute interval at some point.
Oh yeah, that'll be good. And you're getting the real side of the YouTube algorithm here too. Like, you're starting to reach that level where you're noticing so many little things now, I'm sure.
Finally, like, having cracked the code of the YouTube algorithm, and now finally getting to that point where I'm like, okay, now I know what I have to do. Like, I'm not just like throwing darts at a wall and trying to guess anymore. Like, I actually see like the path forward. And now it's all about just like how much time I have to dedicate to pursuing that path forward, which is like another whole thing, right? Because I'm also running a photography business. I'm not just a YouTuber. I'm not just like a content creator.
Yeah. The whole keyword aspect is just like, I could never escape the keywording. It was useful, but then also you started feeling like you were backed into a corner. And the reason that everyone makes the same content is because the that's what they want everyone to make.
Yeah, no, I started feeling that when like I like if you make a mistake in a video, all the comments will be about that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was like, oh, that makes me feel really uncomfortable. Like so many people are noticing this mistake. And then I was like, well, wait, but they're commenting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at all like the most popular TikTokers and they will all like mispronounce words or like misspell something.
Uh-huh.
And they do it because people comment about it. And then that generates activity. And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's like the dark path forward.
Yeah.
Like,
no
okay,
bad press. No bad press.
Just about the money. Like, yeah, exactly. Like it was just about the money and the ad revenue. That would be the way. And that's obviously the way a lot of people have chosen. Back to your point, you were talking about how like that tweet about how shooting a movie on film is elitist.
Oh yeah.
And like I did just want to say, like, I think shooting a movie is elitist, right? Like, like the whole production value, like there's movies that are hundreds of millions of dollars that weren't shot on film. And we had talked about this like off camera earlier, I think, that, you know, adding a couple spools of film to that budget would not be the make or break factor for whether that movie's affordable or accessible for people to make.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's just like, if and you're renting the equipment anyway, so you're not buying your $50,000 Red camera or your $20,000 RE. So you're renting them, and then it's just like a different skill set, and you probably don't take 500 takes of the same thing. You do like 10 takes or something. I don't know for sure how that works, but I know it's less usually. And and
even your shooting days are probably shorter, right?
Yeah,
which means that your rental fees are less, and your crew, like the wages that you're paying, are less because you're not taking as long on set.
Yeah, I don't see how it necessarily completely changes anything in a drastic sense that would make it unobtainable. When the whole industry is based around, hey, we're so bored, let's pretend to do something and make a film about it. And spend millions of dollars pretending to be like soldiers or cheating lovers or something like that in a space city. It's like the whole thing is like, let's spend $1 million to play.
Yeah, it's like it's an elitist industry, like, and that's fine.
Yeah,
like we enjoy the products from it, like for sure. Like, it's fine, but it's not like shooting film is the thing that makes or breaks the cinema industry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's like, I can see why having some guy who's just won a big award, who's like obviously rich and famous and far along in his career, telling you to do something that costs money would feel bad. But when you break it down, like break down the actual costs, like the benefits of film, the drawbacks of film, like I don't think it is as bad as it sounds.
No, I think if you were to take 5,000 takes on film, sure, it would cost a lot more, but that's just not how it's going to work. And that's only how you work when you have like the ability to do 5,000 takes, because you just need the extra hard drives or something like that, or the extra battery power, etc. And and
if you're shooting, like if it's $100 per terabyte, which usually it's $150 per terabyte.
Yeah.
Right. How many terabytes of data is it going to take to do 5,000 takes in 4K, like on a professional movie set for the entire length of a feature film? Like, that's quite a bit of money too.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
How many, I don't know, like how many editors will die making that movie? It's like, is it, I want to know an editor who used to cut and splice film versus somebody who does it on digital, if they really, really, after making enough digital movies, are like, you know, it's easier than cutting film, but actually this sucks too. Like going through so many takes.
Like, looking at the budgets of movies, like the budgets of movies that were shot on film, the budgets of movies that were shot on digital, like, has the average movie budget gone down?
No.
I don't think so. No. Bro. Like, I think it's like, by 100 times increased. And obviously there's other factors like the amount of time that it takes to do computer rendering technology and all that. Like, obviously there's wages and things that have gone, like, there's factors, but like, come on, like, was everybody who made a movie in the pre-digital era more elitist than everybody who makes a movie in the digital era? I don't think so.
No, I think the only place that makes a real democratic difference is the very beginning people who would have been on camcorders to do college projects instead of 16 millimeter. That's like maybe the only place where it really increases accessibility.
Yeah. No, I think I would agree. Like, like you want to have some time to like make mistakes and screw around without it costing you like $20 a foot. I get that.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like something that's got a big budget, like I don't know.
My other thing is like this guy was talking to the Oscars, the Oscars who have entire careers dedicated to what they wore that night. Like people's entire careers float around like, oh, they wore what shoes? Oh, my life is made now.
Yeah, and like what's the cost of like one costume in Dune compared to the cost of like shooting 20 minutes on film?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that some of the costumes in Dune were some of the most expensive things ever made for movies. So, but I mean, nobody was like, oh, costumes are elitist.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, people say that, but like not more like, I don't know. I think people get the point that we're trying to make here is that there's a lot of elitist aspects, and singling out film as a particularly elitist aspect among an entire industry full of elitist aspects is a little bit silly.
Yep, I agree. And also that the things we value in these, it's like it is sometimes twisted by these comparisons. Like, is the only good thing about digital that it shoots really fast and you can do a lot of it? Is that really the only good part of it? And the same with film. Is it only judgeable by its ability to be faster?
Mm-hmm. No, that's an interesting point. Like, we do have a culture that's based around efficiency, and sometimes we don't even notice how much that like maximize efficiency mindset gets in the way of creating like good consumer products, but also like everything else. Like our maximization of efficiency gets in the way of our relationships, in the way of our health and our safety and the way we design our cities. Like maybe it's not like always the best choice to use the most efficient option because it is the most efficient option.
Yeah, exactly. And I
think analog is like,
I think that's a very good way of saying what I was attempting to say. and that makes me think about a headline I saw. NBC News reported that like $700 million of productivity was lost during the solar eclipse. And people are like, shit, people just want to go outside. It's like, are we really going to like monetize this?
20 minutes.
It's like, I'm sorry, rich people, you didn't make $700 million because we wanted to see.
I was supposed to just not look at it? Of course I was late for work.
It's like, I'm like, what else can I look at and cost you $700 million while we're at it?
Oh my God. That's who puts that headline together? People who measure human time in productivity. You measure human time in dollars, and that's just your measurement for how much human time was spent on this. I don't like that.
I think we not necessarily reached a conclusion, but we reached that, like, the idea that it's like, that's a little bit of a narrow and weird way to look about it. And if we step back and think so much about efficiency, it's like, what do we really value? And is it really, what matters more about this or that or whatever? And because I don't think we came out as particularly anti-digital or overly pro-film. So, No,
I mean, I shoot digital. I can't be anti-digital. I like digital, but I definitely see that there's like good and bad qualities of both.
Oh, yeah.
And both cost me a lot of money.
I don't see much of a difference in the pain I felt buying a new digital every 3 years than buying film and chemicals and stuff like that. It's not it's just the money goes out in different speeds, or like spread over a longer period of time, or really fast.
My last year, I think I spent $647 on film and film development. So let's say that I spend that every year for 3 years, right? Well, that like in 2021, I spent $2,600 on a new digital camera. I'm going to need to spend another $4,000 like pretty soon. So honestly, I think I'm spending less on film than I am digital. I'm not shooting everything on film, but like, the two occupied different price points at different times. One's a lump sum, one's like a slow trickle out of my wallet.
Exactly.
Maybe the slow trickle hurts a bit more to watch, but when I compare them like on paper, it makes sense.
I just don't think it's as overblown as people like to make it. And
yeah, I agree.
Spock dies, they wrap him up in a towel, and they shoot him out the bows of the ship in that big sunglasses case.
Thank you so much for putting this together with me, Jamie. I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And what are we thinking about talking about next time? Do you have any ideas?
Oh, that's a good question. I wonder if anyone who's listening has any ideas. And do you have any ideas what we might talk about next time?
I do not. It might be fun to have a guest on at some point, though, and ask them some questions.
That would be really cool. I would be completely good with that.
Cool.
On this other topic, do you know when your analog talk might be coming out?
I don't know. I hope soon. I should have asked, and I didn't. But I am also on analog talk, which is very exciting.
And
Thank you. Cool.
Thanks. I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk sooner this time, I think. I hope.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll talk to you very soon.
Cool. Bye. You can find me at jamiemphoto, that's JAMIEmphoto, or Piney Woods Darkroom is my darkroom.
And I am Y Hanson Photography. That's Y as in like the letter Y, HANSON _photography. You can find me on many social media platforms under that handle.
Yes. Look at those digital shooting plebes.
Here, wait, give me one like solid fan.
Oh yeah. Is that working?
Perfect. Yeah.
All right.
Send me some of those. Send me some options.
Sounds good.